Sonic Movie Show is a weekly show that you can find on a variety of podcast services. Keep up with us by following our Twitter at Sonic Movie Show. What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Sonic Movie Show, the only show that's about Sonic news, and Sonic movie news. Today is none of those three things. My name is Ethan, and with me here today is Devin.
All the pain in the world will not help you find something that does not exist.
See, I thought you were going to use one of my two favorite quotes in the movie, being speaks in local language and sentimental music playing. Those are closed captionings Amazon Music or Amazon Prime Video had.
I didn't get that.
The credits pop up.
It was on Disney Plus.
I don't have Disney Plus.
Oh, I thought you did.
I spent $3, Devin. I'm not going to spend $7.
I thought you
were not watching anything
on.
No, I don't have it. Yeah, as soon as the credits start playing, the closed captioning says sentimental music starts playing. I'm like, okay. And yeah, so we watched Prince of Persia, Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time.
Yep.
See, I already forgot what the name of the movie was. The 2010 Disney-produced live-action video game-based movie. 2010.
Good year.
It grossed over $300 million in box office.
That's pretty good.
Making it the number one movie until Warcraft 6 years later. So it is much higher than anything that we've seen so far on the Sonic Movie Show. And it will certainly be like that for a while as well. And I think it's mainly because it was Disney and they probably marketed it like, you know.
And Jake.
Probably, I haven't looked at any trailers or anything. I guarantee they kind of marketed it kind of like Aladdin in a sense, like kind of get that vibe of, hey, here's a movie that's entirely in yellow monochrome. Enjoy. But yeah, we watched that for today, and we have thoughts aplenty, I guess. I watched it just before this recording.
And I watched it, according to my notes, 30 days ago.
Do you even remember this movie?
I have enough notes, and the movie was, to me, decent enough that I remember generally what happened.
Okay.
It's okay.
Okay. Well, I don't have any notes because I
remember
not what
Jake
we do for
always.
These. Yeah.
Even in my dreams.
It's funny because I forgot Jake was in it until they show him. So I guess let's just start talking about the movie. So like the movie is about actual Persia.
This was produced by the same producers of Pirates of the Caribbean. I think that was important.
Hey, that makes sense.
Yeah, it had there was a lot of like sets in this that I felt like just had a Pirates of the Caribbean vibe, like same like camera tricks and
there's sand everywhere.
And
Devin.
Sand. They just took scenes from Pirates of the Caribbean. They just put sand in it.
Yeah,
that's what they did.
Yeah, based off a video game name. I don't think it's... I never played Sands of Time. I never played any of the Prince of Persia games.
Me neither.
I've seen bits of the original one, and it was important. It was a good game. It was important. It was on like the Amiga and Mac systems way back when 2D platformer. And I think its big reason why it was so cool was that it was like parkour stuff. And the animation, I'm not sure if they rotoscoped, which means like you film something and then you draw over it, or if they just had really good animation because, like, the character moved realistically, the way his legs dangle, how he turns, all this stuff felt very realistic, and so it was a very cool game back then. That's how it became popular. Sands of Time is, like, the most famous one of the games. I guess it's the best one. It's on PS2 and Xbox, I believe. I guess it's getting a remake now, too, that looks about the same. I guess, but then it was also a pre-alpha, but it comes out really soon, and why would you show pre-alpha if you have better footage? But whatever. I don't think that the movie... What I'm trying to say is I don't think that the movie has the same general plot as the game. I definitely don't think it does the same moment-to-moment. Because I feel like a lot of video game movies just take the concepts and not like the locations and set pieces, you know?
Yeah.
Or it's like, I'm trying to think like, how would this be a video game? You know what I mean? Trying to think and like, no, it wouldn't. He probably ran through a bunch of temples and shit the whole time or something like that. Palaces, you know?
I was going to say this movie definitely took the Tomb Raider route of like, except with Tomb Raider, like you know who Lara Croft is. With this, they're like, here's an origin story in like the very beginning, and then like,
and it's so brief.
yeah, and they're like, but
Could have
but
used
now you
more.
know, but now you know who he is.
Yeah,
He's a
he is
badass.
a prince of Persia. We're going to tell you that he's a prince of Persia by calling him a prince of Persia about 20 times in the first half an hour. But yeah, so I guess we'll just start at the beginning. It's Persia. Persian Empire's everywhere. I don't know what year this is supposed to be or even era. I don't know if it's supposed to be mostly based off real life. All of the locations they mentioned are places I don't remember ever existing. Maybe they do, and I'm just ignorant, which is probably the case. Or maybe they're fantastical, because maybe they don't want to be like, hey, Persia is bad. Because, that's kind of insulting some people. But at the same time, who cares?
We're Disney. We don't give a fuck.
The empire is, like, expanding, and it's great. It's an awesome empire that has a king, and this is a good thing, apparently. And it's the story, and I had the closed captioning spoiled it to me because the narrator was Tuss, the guy who becomes king after the dad dies. And even in the very beginning, it says he is saying these narration lines. I'm like, oh, I know who's saying it. I don't know who Tuss is, but when I see him, I'll know he was the narrator. So clearly he lives, I guess. But he didn't see any of this because this didn't happen. So
or did
whatever.
It
would be funny if it was just like, it would be funny if it was just like, well, we need someone to narrate these because we realize we need a narrator. You're still here. And then the people writing the closed captioning was like, I guess he's the narrator, this character. The king had 2 boys. His brother is Ben Kingsley. And he was like, oh, my boys are princely. And I'm walking through a market and I see this little boy throw an apple in a guard. I don't remember why.
Stole it or whatever. Yeah.
No, I think someone else got in the way of a horse. And so the guard was going to beat this kid mercilessly. So the Prince of Persia, Dante or whatever his name is, Dastan. I don't know. I literally don't know anything about Prince of Persia. That I'm not even 100% certain that's his name in the games.
I have IMDb up just in case.
Okay.
I also wrote Dustan in my notes. So basically Dustin with an A. So I'm like, I don't think that's right.
Dastan, the young boy, throws an apple in the guard and then gives parkour chase, and he's all tricksy, and every single thing the kid says is ADR'd, and it's not done very well at all. Like, it clearly was like, okay, we need to bring another kid in to say stuff, and then we'll just ADR it over this child. Cool, then the king is like, I'm adopt you, boy. You don't have a say in the matter. Because I didn't
That was such
you.
I get, like, it's very, like...
humbling.
Not humble. I mean, like the origin I'm saying is more like... It just sounds like almost unbelievable, but I also, like... I kind of treat it as like a fairy tale where like it doesn't have to
be
really
a good guy king. They call this an empire in a good way, so we need to show that he's a good king.
But I'm just like, what makes you think he like would be a good son? He just stole shit and then jumped around a lot.
Well, he didn't steal anything. They actually show him paying for the apple.
Did he? I
thought
he stole
the camera shows him he has a coin in his hand, and when he's picking up the thing, so he paid for that. Although he's an orphan, so how would he get the money anyway? But no, like he saw the bravery and he sacrificed himself to save the boy. So that's why he's nobility not in blood but by actions, or whatever they say. Brother. And in any case, now all of a sudden it's modern or the time of the actual story. We don't get to see these boys grow up at all. They keep talking about brotherhood. We don't get to see them actually becoming brothers at all. Now we're all adults, and Jake Gyllenhaal's in a fist fight, and because basically what happens is main prince boy there, Tuss, and his brother, what was the other prince's name? Mordecai, Mestifus. It starts with an M, or maybe it doesn't. M. Nastif is N is Ben Kingsley.
I was gonna say, I'm like, I don't.
He's the prince that always wears the chainmail on his head. In any case, they're up there with their squad, and they see, oh, this peaceful kingdom is actually forging weapons for our enemy. So therefore, we need, and it's a secret, our spy intercepted it, so we need to attack them. But I need my brother, Jake Gyllenhaal. Excuse me. So Jake Gyllenhaal is now in a fist fight because he's all rough and tumbly. man of the streets, and they get him and they're like, cool, let's all go attack this. And he's like, maybe we shouldn't, because maybe we shouldn't. And they're all like, no, we got to do it. So then they go do it. But he's like, I'm actually going to sneak up from behind and do it anyway. They told me to stay home, but I'm actually going to grab my Robin Hood and my Merry Men group of also street witches. I'm like, that's actually kind of cool. It's like, hey, I'm actually one of you. I speak for you. Be with me, kind of a thing. I think that's cool. But I wish they showed that instead. It's like he's got a bunch of like hookers and street boys in his crew. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, okay, I guess that's why I call him Robin Hood and the Merry Men. But they're sneaking through the back, and then they do lots of parkour stuff, which I will say is actually done really well.
I did like for the
most part, the arrows into the wall, and he uses that to grab. Although practically, it's very easy to accidentally kill him.
They almost shot him at one point. And he looks back, and I thought, oh, that was funny.
Were you drinking? Yeah, I'm fucking drunk right now. Whatever. But so like, I will say, just with this alone, since we're at this spot, I do think that this is the closest any of the movies we have seen so far, video game movies we have seen so far, gets to being like the video game. Because it's okay. The big thing about Prince of Persia was the platforming, parkour, climby, jumpy, fast-paced stuff. And we're at least making sure he does it. This translates very well for a movie, so we can do it, Like, it's harder to do Sonic, I get it. But, of course, that's modern day. It's not that fair. It's harder to do that with Tomb Raider. It's harder to do it with Resident Evil. But, like, hey, they did it here, so that's cool.
Resident Evil's easy. You just create a super virus, Yeah.
And IRL. It's called COVID. COVID is real. Wear your mask, please. Yeah, so then we win. We've taken over the peaceful Altica or Altisha, Attica. Atticus Finch. Beautiful town, starts with an A. Beautiful city, rather. And everyone's there. The king is there. Not the king. Ben Kingsley's there though, and then the princes are all there, and they're all going in. And meanwhile, the princess there, named Tian
Alamut.
What's the princess's name? It's not Tanya, but it's like starts with a T. Tamina is like telling people, block off the chamber, hide this, boot that. We're gonna lose because we don't fight here, but we need to protect the thing. I'm not gonna tell you what it is. Which is dumb,
by the way. I don't care if you don't fight when you're getting invaded. Maybe.
Well, they were fighting, but they knew they weren't gonna win against Persia, the Empire. But
fight to your
it's
death.
more important that we pray and hide the thing. So they do that, and then okay, cool, and then oh wait, it's a dagger, and then we have the dagger. Jake Gyllenhaal has the dagger. It's in his belt. And this is the important part. What's his name? Tuss there goes to take it. Says, oh, you need to give a gift, or I need to give a gift, or give me a gift, or something like that. And Ben Kingsley's like, no, fam, because it's important, because this is where the deception and the lies and the twists come in. And Jake Gyllenhaal is like, okay, cool, I got this cool dagger with a gigantically broad handle that's impractical to hold.
It's more decorative.
For sure.
Yeah.
But it's a very wide handle. But they throw that one so much. They go back to Home Kingdom, and Ben Kingsley gives Jake Gyllenhaal a robe that was like the cool prayer robe that the town you mentioned had. I forgot the name already.
Element, yeah.
Element had, and the king is like, oh, my son, not of birth but by nobility, and you're awesome, and I love you, man, you're my rog. We're gonna subtly talk about polygamy here real quick and say Tuss here has a lot of wives and you have 0, so we're gonna make this woman of Alamut your wife now, and it's all embarrassing for both parties.
They're like, oh, it's so awkward. Even though it's like basically rape. Or it's gonna be.
And I mean, in a sense, and he even says like, you have something positive to come home to your bedchambers to, as if that's her job, is just to wait there. It is a little weird. I get it, like, you can't like make Persia from that era, whatever era this is supposed to be, with modern sensibilities of like, I guarantee they had lots of wives and it was commonplace. It is a little bit weird that's like glossed over. Like, I get Jake Gyllenhaal's, you have your hero not be like that. So it's a way of still having it exist, but not saying
what if he was
cool.
just like,
I got 7 bitches in the back.
Yeah,
let's
let's
add
go,
an 8th,
baby.
baby.
He's licking his lips.
I just coughed by doing that. And so, but all of a sudden now the king is dying. He's burning up, and it's like he can't get the
From that
fucking
robe.
He can't get the
gift.
one button off, so he's dead now. And Jake Gyllenhaal makes the mistake of bolting.
Well, no,
Like,
I
instead of
think
being
immediately
yeah,
Nizam.
Tuss was like, he did it. Tuss was like, oh, he did it.
Yeah, it was either
'cause
Tuss or
remember, Nizam's
Nizam, yeah.
supposed to be innocent, but Tuss is like, oh, my brother did it, and
he ain't about this bloodline, so definitely him. Which I guess is fair. I probably would think the same thing, honestly. But at the same time,
it's so obvious though that the gift killed him. We all saw him give the gift, and he died because of the gift. You put your thinking caps on and think, why would he want to do this? How old is this man?
he just got
He's been a prince
free
for
woman.
so
Like,
long.
Why would he? Yeah, why would he kill him?
But whatever. We need someone to blame, and obviously a little bit later we go to think, oh, Tuss is blaming him. So obviously, like that's why we get started. Okay, that's why there's no thought. Instead, he's just a fucking idiot. By the end of the movie, we realize, no, this guy was just dumb. In any case, he bolts. Tamina, that's her name, right?
Tamina, yeah.
Tamina follows suit because they got to be the sexy, angry couple the whole time that hates each other but falls in love, but hates each other but falls in love.
They'll definitely,
which
like,
is classic.
If
Disney.
it wasn't a Disney film, they would have angry fucked like halfway through. Like it'd have been
For
like,
sure.
I fucking hate you.
But that is classic Disney
Yeah.
type stuff. You know what I mean? Even though Star Wars original wasn't by them, retroactively now that is classic Disney in that sense too, with Leia and Han.
Yeah.
Best couple on screen. We talked about Star Wars last episode, and that was fun. Anyway, they're running through the desert, and he leaves her, then she leaves him, then he leaves her, then she leaves him. She knocks him out. He grabs the knife. Blah blah blah. We go through all this stuff. We find an angry town.
You forgot the part where they are at the campfire though, and then she tries to kill him, and that's when he finds out he can do
Right. He can do
the sands of time.
the part where his arms erupt with cracks and shit, and he goes back.
That'd be
in
so
time.
scary. Like imagine you
I
just,
know.
like,
I thought he was burning.
You're about to die. You're about to die like from a woman trying to stab you, and then all of a sudden you're having this like crazy like out of body experience. You're like, did I die already? Was it poison?
And well, the second time she slashes him, and it's like a fatal slash across the chest, like especially where they are. It's not like they can do anything about it. He would have died, and then he reverts it, and he used up all the sand. And he's like, "Woman, don't you fucking do that again!" And she's like, "Do what?" And then you used up all the sand, you bitch. You got more in your bosom. I can see that. We're gonna awkwardly look down. And she's like, "You like what you see, or are you looking for something, or whatever?" And he's like, "No, but I'm gonna bring this back up later when I steal your necklace." And then they go to libertarian town where they don't pay taxes, and they lie about everything so that they can avoid paying taxes because they got ostrich races there.
Well, they got captured first.
But then he quickly turned it around.
Yeah.
By making a deal
Yeah.
or something.
Basically, I think they got her, and he got to leave or whatever.
Yeah.
But then they find out that he has the
but they make it
sands
as
of time or something, or they
No,
know
no,
he
no.
has something important, right?
It's like after everything is cool and like, oh, this guy's going to be our friend.
It was Dr. Octopus was the guy, the main guy.
Really?
Yeah, he's
that was what's his name? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's why I couldn't unsee it. I'm just like Doc Ock, but it's in Persia.
Spider-Man 2 is not a good movie. No, but what the reveal is that they know he has a bounty on him. But we're actually going to turn you in because you're worth like so much. I'd turn my own mother in. And then the dude that's good at throwing the knives looks at at Doc Ock. And Doc Ock is like, no, she was really bad. So I would have, but. So that's why they run again, and then he gets the knife, and then they get the knife back, and they fight, and they fight, and they fight, and they run away. They leave the Snake Flag town away, and then they go to the funeral procession for the father. They find out that Tuss isn't there. Why isn't Tuss there? Because he's the bad guy. I forget what their thinking is.
They think Tuss did it to get rid of.
Yeah, but like there was a reason why they think. Oh, this is why he's not here. It's because of blank, but whatever. Because I think they know about the obviously they know about the knife. Maybe we're like, oh, we need to send a plan to get the knife. I don't care about my father. My plan was to have my father. Yeah, because they think he always planned to obviously to kill his father. So why would he go there? Yeah. So but they see Ben Kingsley's there, and Jake Gyllenhaal was like, I'm gonna slip him a note. I'm gonna somehow sneak into the casket my father is in,
which I think is like the worst place to hide.
Everyone is watching that.
Yeah.
And he sticks his hand out to put a note in Ben Kingsley's pocket. And sticks it back in. Ben Kingsley's like, what the fuck?
Imagine being like a peasant or something, and you're like behind, and you just see like, wait, is he alive? He's
exactly.
Alive?
Exactly. He puts a 20 in this guy's pocket.
Did he just slip a $20 bill in there? Yo, make sure they don't know I'm alive still. Here. I'm done with this king shit.
Yo, man, I just finished rolling up this acid. Here you go.
Rolls him a joint, yeah.
Yeah. Ben Kingsley meets Jake Gyllenhaal, and Jake Gyllenhaal's like, yo, my bro Tuss is doing this, and I have this knife, and where'd my knife go? Because girl stole it again, Tamina stole it again, Tamina stole it again. I got it right eventually. But, Tamina stole it again and gave him a pretty badass looking like brass knuckle flip knife.
Yeah.
But I think you got an upgrade, buddy. You can use that in combat. The other one you can't. But they're illegal pretty much anywhere to have brass knuckles. But anyway, Ben Kingsley's like, not so subtly being like, it was actually me, because my hands are all burned.
Yeah, well, yeah, he didn't explicitly say it, but then he noticed, and then he kind of just said his evil plan. It's classic Disney, too, where, like, bad guy says evil plan when about to kill him, and then, like, they get away, and then...
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, like, shit, now everyone's gonna know.
Yeah.
Like, if I was ever a bad guy, I would just do what your plan is. Why? Like, I get like, I guess that's like classic villains are stupid, and this is that they need that ego trip of like, ha, I outsmarted you again.
Yep. Just like in The Incredibles, they get away, and then at this point, my thinking was still, it's still Tuss, but Ben Kingsley was in on it with them.
Yeah.
But then to reaffirm that Tuss is innocent, Ben Kingsley goes to Tuss, and it very much makes sense of like, Tuss, really did think his brother killed his dad. You know what I mean? Like, and he's Ben Kingsley's like, we just need to send assassins and kill him
because Jake Gyllenhaal tried to kill me. He just tried to kill me. He's here.
Yeah, exactly. We don't need to put him on trial. But then Tuss is like, no, I'm a fucking king. Like, I need to put him on trial. I need people to know I stand for justice, and and they need to know who their new king is all about. Like, I'm not gonna. So that scene was put there just so that if you were like me and thought that they were both in on it, nope, it is just Ben Kingsley.
But Jake don't know.
He's just the bad
Jake
guy.
don't know that.
No, Jake does know, apparently.
Does he know his brother's not
apparently the scene where Jake Gyllenhaal, where Ben Kingsley reveals that no, he was there, or like he's in on it. It's that scene that gives Jake Gyllenhaal Dastin like, no, my brother's innocent, it's actually him. It's that scene, because there's no interaction with them until the very end. I think it's right after that, then we see Ben Kingsley go to a fucking place with super assassins.
Yeah,
people dancing and shit.
It's like some ancient order of just super
awesome men.
Yeah, just like really...
Everyone's an expert on different weapons, including the dude with the whips that had just claws at the end. Not like a...
It's pretty dope, honestly.
Not like a grappling hook, but like a hand outstretched in like a tiger claw position. Like a dope as fuck. The man just spinning at the bottom.
They were the Hassan... The Hassan symbol.
It's like assassins, but with an H in the beginning.
Yeah. Hassan... I'm trying to remember, like, from my history classes. It's super familiar sounding. So I think it is based loosely off a group of people. Assassins,
in any case,
yes, that's how you pronounce it.
Well, Jake Gyllenhaal pronounces it more like Hasasins or
kind of American sounding, yeah.
Yeah. I pity the people that had to dialect coach these actors, into not sounding like Jake Gyllenhaal and Ben Kingsley. But in any case, now we're back with Jake and Tamina, and they're like, oh shit, I know what we need to do. We need to we need to go somewhere. We get a scene.
We know they need to go to like the ancient temple, and I think they have
but that's way later.
I think it's what they're trying to get to, but they don't know how to get there. They need like a map or something.
We definitely have a run-in with the brother with the chainmail, who doesn't believe Jake Gyllenhaal. And then I guess you're right. I guess whatever. We go to the temple. They get captured again by the libertarians. Leader is Dr. Octopus.
By the way, I do think Dr. Octopus was funny in this film, and like he kept being super skeptical. He had like all these conspiracy theories, and that's why he doesn't pay taxes. But
yeah, I didn't dislike him for sure.
If anything, I think that was like him and what was his other name? Say-So there, the dude with the knives who would just throw the knives.
Oh yeah.
I thought he was like they were. I think they were fun.
The straight man and the funny man, kind of. But then they swap at one point. So they get captured, but then the assassins attack them at night. And by the way, Jake Gyllenhaal and Tamina had a very sexy, close sandstorm protection tent experience earlier in the movie. And I'm like, damn, that tent is like a one-person tent, and they're sharing it together in the middle of a sandstorm. There are horses in there too.
So hot, dude.
Yeah,
that's like a huge turn on for me.
Yeah. And it was funny. It's just like, we need a run. He's like, oh, the princess thinks she can outrun a fucking storm. Okay. In the desert. But, but they're all sleeping now. They've been captured by the libertarians, but then the assassins attack them, and Jake uses his time rewinding power to deflect and destroy every single snake that were digging through the sand, and that's creepy as fuck if there are snakes that can do that in real life.
Yeah, there is.
That go through the sand like that. Oh my god.
Yeah, be careful out there, dude.
Dude, I thought it only happens in like Zelda games.
No.
It happens IRL. But
don't watch Tremors. You know,
I've actually never seen Tremors.
It's pretty good. No, that's another good sand movie.
Yeah, I've never seen Dune either.
Outside of Holes.
That I did see. No, I take that back. I didn't see Holes. I read Holes.
I read and seen Holes.
That was Shia LaBeouf.
Yes, young Shia.
Young Shia. Apparently he is in
Transformers.
Apparently, well, yes, he was. There is a quick side note. It is rumored that he has been approached to be Iceman in the new Marvel X-Men kind of stuff.
We need him back, dude.
Like,
he did nothing wrong. I don't know what happened, but he did nothing wrong.
He was given shitty movies.
Yeah, and it's not his fault.
And he had a bit of a career breakdown.
Hey,
you know,
it happens to the best of us. Like,
then he came out with, what was it called, Honey Boy?
Yeah,
and Peanut Butter Falcon, and that's like awesome, apparently. So good for him.
Yeah, bring Shia back.
Bring back
Shia's
Shia.
A friend of the show.
He did nothing correct either. No, he did nothing wrong. It was just the fact that they put him in Indiana Jones again, and no one wanted him to be in there. So like,
that's not his fault.
Really got the shit in. But he was in a good movie called Eagle Eye, which was like basically an NSA AI is spying on everyone, and he takes it down. Like, that was a fun movie.
That's so unrealistic.
That was like right after the first Transformers movie. I remember seeing that in theaters, being like, "Man, it really makes you think about everything."
Really makes you think. That was the tagline.
They're in a soundproof room. The AI is trying to hear them, and it sees that there's a glass of water on the table. And no one's touching it. No one's even touching the table. Mm-hmm. But because it can see the slight vibrations in the water due to the air and the voice, it can hear everything they're saying. That was a fun movie. In any case, Shia LaBeouf's not in this movie.
Should have been.
He should have been.
2010?
But
dude,
in any case, because
2010.
Jake Gyllenhaal was able to kill the snakes, the libertarians decide, we're not going to capture you. I don't remember what their reasoning was.
We owe you
know
one.
what I mean? Maybe. I guess. And now we're going to go to the City of Gold. It's actually just a pile of stones, apparently. They go there and everyone's dead. And Tamina actually has, I think this is a very a positive thing, I will say. She says that she has walked this path as every princess from her people should. This is basically a Mecca, a journey to Mecca, essentially. You know what I mean? That a holy pilgrimage that you take. And so obviously she knows it. So she knows all these people. She doesn't even say that, though. She never says who any of these people are, but she has the reaction of, like, someone, like, her grandmother was in there and died. But they don't say anything about it. But that the reaction on that actress's face, you know what I mean? Like, that's one thing very positive. I think it's good. It wasn't just like, oh, and this was so-and-so. Man, she's dead. Damn it. You know what I mean? It was just, you can just see the not the horror, but, like, the appalling sadness, you know what I mean, without any needed context. I thought that was good. But in any case, it looks like they died a day ago. It was probably the assassins. And then the Chainmail Bro and his team come up and they're like, you did this. They're like, oh, it's really hard to prove otherwise because these are fresh kills.
Yeah, and we're the only ones here.
You know what I mean? So it's hard, but, like, you gotta believe me. I'm going to prove it with this dagger, but I actually don't get the chance because the assassins attack. You know what I mean? Because
thank you.
Even the Chainmail Bro knows that Ben Kingsley wants him dead, and he agrees with it. He would rather him die than get put on trial, so that's why he's okay with this. But then the assassins attack, and
which was super convenient. That's why I'm like, thank you.
But I will say this is
thank
right.
You if I was Jake.
I know, but this is right after though. The Chainmail Bro is like, I don't know if he 100% believes Jake, but it was more on the lines of like, okay, this isn't completely out of the blue. There has to be there's something more going on here. Something about Ben Kingsley that Jake just said doesn't line up. Okay, let's figure this out. Because I think Jake was like, he doesn't want me on trial because he's afraid of what I'll say. So let me say what I have to say. He killed me afterwards, essentially. And he's like, okay, actually, you're probably not crazy.
Yeah.
And then he gets 7 knives to the chest, and then he goes down. It's like, oh, damn it. Bros, you know what I'm saying, man? They fight them all. Chainmail Dude actually was alive still, so he gets to deflect one last thing to save Jake before he dies. They go into the temple, and throughout the entire movie, Jake's been doing some super cool acrobatic shit. Yes. Awesome, cool stuff, being the Prince of Persia from the games in that sense, right? Wall running, flipping on poles, all that kind of fun stuff. Now we get a scene where it's Tamina and him going through the temple, an Indiana Jones type of Zelda dungeon puzzle where you press a thing and it shows you the exact path you need to walk. If you step on the sand.
You can even say Fall Guys.
Bad shit. Exactly. And she's like, nothing can land. This is the one part where I'm like, this is totally a video game level. This is an escort mission in an either terrible or fun way, depending on how well it's executed. They need to walk across basically a bunch of straight lines, like at 90-degree angles they come in, but like whatever. There's no rush. You know what I mean? As long as you don't lose your balance. And he's an expert. He's not going to lose his balance. Maybe she will, but it's an escort mission. And if I'm pretending this is a video game. But parts of the ceiling are falling. So now he actually needs to do her acrobatic shit to prevent the ceiling from falling. And I wish they did more with that. They do it like once and then it's like a joke of like, oh, something falls anyway. But I like imagine that as a game of like, this is so easy for you. Now here's the layer of like, no, you need to prevent shit from touching the sand.
Yeah.
And then also be able to still stay on the thing. Like that would have been cool. Maybe that is in the game. Who knows?
It might be.
It might be. But anyway, tiny little pebble hits the sandstone and everything starts falling to shit. And this was where they could put the knife away forever. I don't know why her people never did that in the past. It's not like that was actually useful for anything in terms of their purpose in life. You know what I mean?
I thought it was where they were getting more sand, and then it would help them turn back the time. That's why I kind of was.
But they do at one point. She does. I think it's on this journey to this temple. Says the idea of like we can get rid of the knife forever, and then it's not like that was the thing. Yeah. Then Ben Kingsley can't use it. You know what I mean? So I thought that I'm pretty sure that's what this place was for, but it all collapses. Oh damn! But because if they always had the ability to get rid of the knife, wouldn't her people do that?
Well, I guess the thing was like they thought it was protection, or like no one knew about it. It was kind of like
I guess the gods
magic.
gave it to them, so maybe don't just fuck with it at all. Maybe, yeah, you're probably right. In any case, they can't get rid of the knife for whatever purpose they were there for because everything's fallen down. And then what happens?
They
I know we
barely.
go. Yeah, and then I guess they just get captured by Tuss and his crew, and then they take them back, and Tuss and you know what? No. There's a scene where Jake Gyllenhaal takes, I think it's Tuss, hostage, and says, "We're going in that room to talk alone." But then also, Ben Kingsley just nonchalantly walks in and doesn't realize that he's in there. So maybe these are two different scenes. But in any case, we're in Tuss's bed chambers or whatever. It's just the two of them. Tamina's outside out a window watching. And Jake Gyllenhaal is trying to explain that it's all Ben Kingsley, and you need to trust your brothers, and look at this knife. It can do crazy shit. I'm going to prove it by killing...
The knife is stolen by the assassins, and then it's given to the... Now I'm remembering. Given to Ben Kingsley back at headquarters, and then them and
so they go back there.
Them and Ostrich Doc Libertarian Man, and Say So and crew. They're like, okay, we need to go get it back because the whole world depends on it. You know. Yeah,
because if Ben Kingsley stabs this giant container full of the Sands of Time, everyone dies, or if he gets his way, he goes back in time when he was a kid and prevents his brother from living.
Yeah, so and he becomes king. Yeah.
Which honestly is I think I can see that's a pretty good story beat for a villain. Like, yeah, you as a child would not let your brother die, but now as a man griddled by war and jealousy, like, you already experienced all that, you know what I mean? You can do it anyway, you know, but in any case, so he does get the knife, and he goes into the bed. So you know what? Ben Kingsley wasn't around. Okay, I know what I'm going. Go back.
I was gonna say
back.
Yeah,
we go to they have the knife in Alouette, because it's in the holder where it belongs. They go there. Knife-throwing guy, Saiso, gets the knife. And he throws it out as that's his last thing before he dies.
Yeah, they had
that's
a pretty cool fight against the one...
the dart-throwing guy.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
And I was going to say that that was a top 10... Like, if Sports Center was around this time, that would have been a top 10 for the week, if not the month. Where he throws that knife, like, back... Like, no look throw, by the way, out the window... miles away, calculated, and like it throws it and it lands on the tree. Like, that was a gorgeous throw. Them. Like, that's a Hail Mary, and he made it look so easy.
That's how they get the knife.
Yes.
And then I think they leave the crew for safety so that they don't get overwhelmed. And then Jake Gyllenhaal and Tamina go in. She's sneaky deaky hiding. She's looking out through that window. He then takes his brother hostage. Ben Kingsley wasn't around for this moment, because he is at this point at the altar where the knife is supposed to be and realizes that it's been taken. So the guards know that he's there, but he's like, we're going into this room, and there's only one way in this room, so you guys can just stand right here and listen and wait. You know what I mean? But we're going in there. So now we're caught up to where I was. He's explaining the knife. Tuss doesn't believe him. Jake Gyllenhaal is just like, if you just press the fucking jewel, then you'll see. But to show you... with urgency, bam, and he stabs himself.
Yeah.
And then Tuss is like, oh, fuck. And then he undoes it. So he understands the power.
I thought that was cool, actually. I actually like some of the time travel stuff in it. Or like the brief, I guess not time, well, it is time travel, but the brief time travel, like, I like the idea of like 30 seconds, you go backwards, and like, that there's show urgency, like, you know he's not calling bullshit. He's willing to stab himself and risk him not pressing the button. And then everyone's fucked, basically.
And they make a point very early on. Tamina says that the handle of the knife can only hold 1 minute's worth of sand.
Yeah.
So, because that's the big thing. In order for Ben Kingsley to go back in time that long, he can't. So he would need to stab the big vial in order to do it. So, and then, okay, cool. Now other bros on our side. Hope this one doesn't die really soon. Oh, wait, he does. Ben Kingsley kills him.
And it sucks that, like, he died. Like, I mean, like, everyone he knows is dying in this film. Like, all his loved ones, for the most part, are dying. Or
betrayed him.
Or are betrayed. And it's funny that not funny, but like it's interesting that like all of them have a time to like say goodbye to him at least, and like even though his brother dies there, at least he knows
That
the
was
truth.
closure. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when he could have died not knowing the truth. You know what I mean?
But of course, at the very end, they all get to live. Though you could argue that they never were the same person. Well, they don't really touch that idea with this time travel at all. Like, is that timeline still going on over there, or are we literally erasing the fabric of reality for that up until the point before it? You know,
I think it is. Yeah.
I hope it's that. That's easier on my soul than saying like, hey, there's a universe where Jake Gyllenhaal did just stab himself, and then he's like,
it.
what the fuck?
Yeah,
you
and
know
then,
what I mean?
And then Kingsley comes in like, did you kill him? What the hell? Like, and then sets him up. You know?
Yeah. So then, yeah, but okay, so they're on the run again, but they have the knife.
Well, then Jake
get
is
the knife
chasing
again?
Ben Kingsley, right? Ben Kingsley tries to, or does Jake jump? I forget what happens after that.
We zip ahead now. I don't know. We do the final fight with the giant vial, the giant crystal holding all the sand. Yeah, we get there. How do we get there? Is it in the same city? Because I think it's all in the same city.
Yeah.
Because that's what the chambers to the giant crystal holding the sand. Pretty sure that's what they were blocking passage to at the beginning of the movie when Alouette or Alta Alamut is being attacked. So, and they have the knife there. So yeah, I think it's all in the same spot. So yeah, whatever. So they're going down there, and he's gonna do it, and he knows, and he's like, I'm evil anyway. And it's just Jake Gyllenhaal, Tamina, Ben Kingsley, and shit's crumbling, and blah blah blah.
There was also the assassins there chasing Jake, and Jake has to take them out one by one. He also fights like the main one or whatever, who has a snake in his sleeve.
Right. That's right. And it's Tamina that grabs the snake and punctures the man's eye with the fangs.
Yeah, which is pretty dope. I like that.
Yeah. And then that's how Jake is able to do the whoosh slash, and then he gets there. So yeah, now we're at the part where I said we're crumbling. Ben Kingsley just needs to stab the thing, but oh no, everyone's falling down the cliff, and Jake's got one arm on the cliff, and he's got Tamina dangling down. It's a classic thing, and it's a classic movie scenario where she knows that in order for the day to be saved, she needs to have him let her go, and so she does it. And I will say another part of this where I think this is actually very good, and I haven't really seen this in other things necessarily, is that let's say you were doing this, Devin. You know, I was holding you, and you need to let me go, or you needed me to let you go, and you're like, you've committed. Okay, this is the way it has to be. You know, I'm sorry. You know, goodbye, whatever. And then as we're doing it, you're like, oh wait, but fuck though, fuck. That's what she had of like this actual fear of like, no, this is really happening. This is really happening.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, because usually it's.
You know what
usually
the
it's
choice
like fucking
is, but you're still gonna be
Black
afraid
Widow and Endgame, you know what I mean? Or in Infinity War, where it's like the solemn fall, like she's screaming.
I would
she's
still
falling.
be screaming. It's scary.
You know what I mean?
You're afraid.
So I'm glad that they did that.
It's
I mean,
it's like a
scary,
roller coaster.
But,
like the drop's coming. You're still gonna scream when you go down. It's still gonna be. You might close your eyes. You know what I mean? Like So I appreciate that. Like she's like, I know I have to do this, but I'm afraid to.
Yeah. Yeah, and then but he stabs it anyway, and then Jake grabs it, and they're fighting over it, and anyway, somehow
it goes back to like the very first like.
As soon as he gets the dagger, period.
Yeah, which is I like that. I thought that was pretty cool, and that
yeah. Because I was thinking maybe they won't go back that far, but like no, as soon as he ever touches the dagger, that's where it is, which is cool. And then we get the ending. We get like the good ending where the bad guy Ben Kingsley is proven to be the bad guy through his own actions, because he tries to attack Jake Gyllenhaal when he's calling him out for all of the stuff that they were about to go prove by torturing the spy.
Yeah.
into saying, "Oh yeah, this was all set up by him. I'm sorry, this is what they were about to do." But then Ben Kingsley decides in a crowd of people, if I just kill one of the princes, all this goes away. I don't know what his plan was, but movie needed to wrap up. Jake Gyllenhaal gets to stand over his dying body and be like, fuck you. I'm Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah.
How tall is Jake Gyllenhaal? Taller than Ben Kingsley.
Clearly.
And then Tuss is like, "Hey, Queen or Princess Tamina, really sorry we made a mistake. I'd like to make it up by you by forcing a marriage between you and my brother."
Yeah. And like Jake's all about it because he knows, but in this
she doesn't. But then
But then he doesn't he tell her that, like, "Oh, I have so much to tell you, like you won't believe what happened."
No. They don't do that at all.
I thought that's what they did.
No, instead, because he's like, he knows as if obviously he had lived, like a few weeks with this woman. You know what I mean? They've gotten really close, by being assholes to each other for a week and a half of that 2 weeks. But so she's like, she sees something in him, and she's like, "Your entire demeanor has changed from the brief moments I saw you killing my people to now. So you must have lived through an entire experience, but there's not enough time for you to have done that." And he's like, he doesn't even say anything smarmy or anything at all. He's just like, "Yeah, yep." And
I have all the time in the world, baby.
Oh, because he gives her the knife. That's the first thing about it. Of like, oh, he must know something about it. But then, that's just it. Like, they walk off, and he never says, "Yeah, so we were a thing," or "all this happened," or
"Dude, we banged so many times. It was wild." Like, man, if only that could happen again.
Bitch, you thought you could outrun a sandstorm, dumbass. Yeah. And then the movie kind of just ends.
Oh, I had to drop you down a hole, basically, or drop you into an endless pit of sand. Yeah, you died.
Yep. Yeah, end of the movie. Did you like it?
Yeah, there was moments that I thought were really cool, and like a lot of the time travel stuff, and usually time travel stuff can be confusing. It was pretty, since it was only like 30 seconds.
A minute. Yeah.
30 seconds at a time, it made it more palpable.
And they set that rule up right away. So like, okay, cool. We can't just erase an entire scene. It has to be one aspect of a scene, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
One misplaced knife or whatever, yeah.
Of staying in that rule until the very end, where they're like, "Oh, it's so far, like, how far back is it going to go?" It's like, oh, right back to the knife, which is cool, because like, it was a scene you'll remember. It's not like when he was a baby or something ridiculous like that, where something we haven't seen. Like, it's all been stuff we've seen, like you said. And yeah, so I enjoyed that parts of it. I like my boy Jake, but I don't think he like absolutely like killed it in this movie, but I don't think anyone really did, besides like, I guess like I said, I really liked the character Say So, who's played by Steve Toussaint. I just liked his character because he was so straightforward, like super straight. And then you had Alfred Molina, who's Doc Ock, who played the Sheik of the libertarian town that he was the king of, I guess. Well, I guess that's kind of what a Sheik is. Like, I like those characters more than like Jake's character or Tamina's character. Like, I didn't care for them too much, really.
Yeah. It's just
like, if anything, I would rather have like more.
They didn't have enough time to characterize a lot of these people.
Yeah, I wish I got
more. The people
from
introduced just for the story that's happening in their lives at the moment that seem to have the most. I don't know.
So I almost would rather have the Sheik and Say So and all of them been like in it earlier. I know they are in it pretty early, but I wish like Jake already knew them or something, this in some way or form. Like,
yeah, well, they set up that Jake has this merry band of misfits, street urchin people. They're his crew, they're his boys, and then they all die.
Like, that would have been cool if, like, when he's on the run, he's like, "Oh, I know a place where I can go." Yeah. And like that, and like
it's a seedy underbelly, but they respect him, because he's acrobatic as fuck.
And I guess you could argue that, like, oh, he knew him when he was a kid or something like that. Like, they could have tied it in there in some way, and I think that would have been That would have been cool. But overall, I thought the plot was just all right generally. But I do like how, like I said, the time travel stuff and how they used it. That kept me interested. If there was none of that and it was just like a straight action movie, like Tomb Raider, like I think I would put it in the same realm as Tomb Raider. Like I think
because the whole because the whole time whenever there's a fight scene, I'm like, is he going to use the knife here? You know what I mean? I keep thinking about that. Like, how can they implement that? And they used it sparingly enough that it was still impactful.
Yeah, I'm sure in the game you use it much more, or like maybe it's like a...
Yeah, I know that there's a lot of rewinding time in Sands of Time, but
yeah, like I think some of the I guess fight scenes are okay, and like I said, some of the sets remind me a lot of Pirates of the Caribbean in terms of its like filmography and cinematography, sorry, and the set pieces and stuff. So I think it was cool, and for that stuff, I mean, a little bit.
My one nitpick is that some of the action scenes were actually hard to follow. Some of them because they move too quickly, and the entire movie I made a joke about it, but yeah, like there's just a lot of yellow, and like this subdued reds and subdued blues. Like I get it, like I don't want to say that's realistic, but like I get it, but it's really hard sometimes to understand what's going on. And it can seem like a bland. All the sets kind of look the same. You know what I mean? Lots of wood and sandstone structures. You know, a lot of that kind of stuff. So it's kind of hard through this recap. Well, I guess it was a recap too. This recap being like, where were they? Because they all kind of looked the same. Even the sand of time itself looked like the normal sand and everything, you know. That's my one like major kind of nitpick with it, but it was a fun movie overall. Definitely seemed a quality that I expected from Disney going in. None of the actors, including Jake Gyllenhaal, like actually stood out for me. Besides those two moments in the writing where I think they made Tamina's character pretty good. The two things is where she's falling and then when she sees dead people.
They need more moments like that or whatnot.
I think that ironically there wasn't enough time to flesh out a lot of the characters and the events. Again, they skip him growing up with his brothers, brotherhood. They skip all of that. So it's not as impactful as it could be. I don't even know Chainmail Prince's name. You know, I don't remember. And I had closed captioning on. I got to see the names pop up whenever anyone talked. You know, but still.
Yeah, like I said, like I would put this in the same realm as Tomb Raider in terms of what they were trying to do. They wanted an action adventure kind of film. The only approach that's different is like it was more of an origin story when Tomb Raider wasn't. Tomb Raider just assumes you know who she is or she's been.
Which I like that approach more if it works.
If it works, I think because like you said, Prince of Persia became popular, the game, for its gameplay and whatnot. And the thing is, we both haven't played the game, and if I didn't see this movie, or before I saw this movie, I didn't know too much about it. I just knew, like, dude jumps around a lot. Honestly, I thought it was more like God of War, like the original games, in terms of its gameplay, a lot of combo, high-action kind of gameplay. But that was kind of what I was expecting.
I don't even know if you fight anyone in Prince of Persia games. I would imagine you probably scimitar some people.
Yeah.
I know, like, Prince of Persia is basically the prelude to being Assassin's Creed. It's like those people went on to make Assassin's Creed. And
that makes
all of
sense,
those kinds of ideas flowed straight into Assassin's Creed, especially even since the first game was about the Crusades and being in the Middle East. You know what I mean? So, like, straight up kind of same kind of stuff going on.
And I think, though, that the fact that, like, probably most people who saw this movie didn't know much about the game, I'm assuming, since it got $300 million. You know what I mean? That they can kind of
330 to be specific.
They can get away with, like, not just pulling generally from the source material and not trying to make it too video gamey or trying to, like, fit, like we said, we didn't play the game, so maybe the plot is exactly like this, but I'm assuming not. That they could just kind of do what they want with it, generally speaking.
Yeah.
When Tomb Raider, I think a lot more people knew what Tomb Raider was. And for that movie, I feel like they had to kind of like they're kind of boxed in a little bit more, not by much, but a little bit more, and I don't know.
I do think we also need to stress, though, that this movie was like 10 years later than Tomb Raider when it was made.
It did some stuff better, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But it also
did
help that the source material wasn't as well known.
Yeah.
And that helps.
I mean, it's kind of similar to the original Pirates of the Caribbean movies. Like, how many people actually knew that this was based off a Disney World ride? You know what I mean? Or a Disneyland ride. And what that even meant. So they like
probably thought it was the other
just
way around.
Made a pirate movie. I know I did
Same.
until I didn't, you know. And they made sure that they changed that ride to be all about Johnny Depp. But no, I think that all of the movies that we had seen thus far, video game movies, have been kind of in the same kind of era. And this one is a way jump in the future, 2010, which is a decade ago. Just insane to think this movie is a decade old.
Dude, 2010 just felt like yesterday, man.
This movie is retro. And it weirdly doesn't, it both does and doesn't feel like that. It's weird.
It definitely has moments where I'm like, oh, this came out in the last 5 years, maybe. And then the other moments where I'm like, oh, this is dated. Like some of the sets, like I said, felt like Pirates of the Caribbean, but also looked old.
Like Indiana Jones old.
Yeah. And then so I'm like, I appreciate that they, did physical sets and not CGI like a lot of stuff is, like Avengers and all that. But at the same time,
ostriches real?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I honestly, God, don't know. They could be, but so I think we can't directly compare this to movies of the other eras that we had seen them in, but obviously it's still all fair game because none of them up until this point have gotten it 100% either on what it means to be a video game movie. So they're all still trying to find their way, and this one took the Tomb Raider approach of like, hey, you kind of know the basic idea of what this is about in terms of what the game is. Let's just try to make an action-adventure movie and try to pepper that stuff in. You know what I mean? She's finding a tomb, I guess. He's flipping around, I guess. If the flipping around is easier to translate into film than it is for finding all of the tomb exploring, the you know what I mean? The tomb raiding.
Yeah.
So it's easier to make the Prince of Persia movie, so it's easier to make it more like the video game.
Like I said, it's a wider box. It's easier that way.
Yeah.
And like I said, I don't think they killed it, but they definitely, I think this is a better movie than Tomb Raider.
I'm glad I saw it. I won't see it again, but I'm glad it exists.
Knock it off my Jake list.
Before we knock more off our Jake, or knock more off to Jake, I don't know. We don't. It's been a while since we did one of these.
Yeah,
we don't rank them. I know that. Do we at least like say was this better or worse than the last one we saw? What was the last one we saw? Spirits Within.
Yeah,
this was better than Spirits Within.
Oh yeah, that
easy.
Spirits Within is the worst. One of the worst movies I've ever seen. Like,
now I will
not even
say,
video game movies, just in movies in general. One of the worst movies I've ever seen.
I will say, both movies are same monochrome. They just picked a different color. Spirits Within was gray. This one was yellow. But yes, this is much better than Spirits Within.
I'd watch this 100 times before I watched Spirits Within once. Facts. 100 times in a row.
I think it is easier to get into a trance and forget what's going on in Spirits Within 100 times in a row than Prince of Persia. It's also shorter, I think.
If I was on an airplane and they gave me either Prince of Persia to watch or Spirits Within, and it's an 18-hour flight or something, I'm watching probably
Spirits Within is 10 minutes shorter.
before I watch
Spirits Within is 10 minutes shorter. So I mean, you're 100 times. Think about that. That's 1,000 minutes that you save, right? Is that how it works?
Yeah.
You save 1,000 minutes if you watch Spirits Within.
Worth it.
You can see your family 1,000 minutes quicker.
Sorry, I can't get off this plane. I'm watching Jake.
You're just flying around the planet the whole time.
We can't land until he's done.
It's 100 hours.
Sorry, Spirits Within, but it'd be like that.
Yes, so that was that movie. Rarely do we like to say what our next movie will be, but we are going to say it because it's Halloween season. We're going to be watching Silent Hill, the 2006 film, based off the video game.
Another great year.
Yep. A video game series I have dabbled in a bit and like what I've played.
And
I have more to
you
say
haven't
about
seen
it.
it, right?
No.
See, I have it on DVD. I've seen it like 3 or 4 times, and I've never
Really?
played a Silent Hill game. So that'd be interesting to see 2 different perspectives coming into it.
Silent Hill 4, I forget what the subtitle is apparently coming to Steam, just like the Metal Gear stuff popped up on Good Old Games. So I don't think that one was very good, but maybe Silent Hill 2, one of the best games of all time, will pop up there.
Hopefully, I want to
But
play
that
a Silent Hill
game-
game. It's like a wish list.
I have it
game
on
for me.
PS2. The HD version of Silent Hill.
I heard sucks.
So, like
they got rid of fog and stuff.
Yeah, and I explained that. But what I didn't know until after we had talked about it was that the voice actor for the main dude, besides being like a really shitty Trump supporter nowadays, of course, they never actually signed any real contracts with the man. So they don't actually own the rights to use the voice work in the game. So they had Troy Baker voice him in the
God
HD
damn it.
version.
It's always
And it's
Troy.
completely different. And it's hard because the dude sucked, but it was the way it was explained to me in the podcast I listened to about it. And I don't really remember playing the game. It was a while ago, like over a decade ago. Was like the tone fit how weird and bad he was. Kind of like Deadly Premonition in that kind of sense.
Deadly Premonition is a piece of art. Yes, you can't. It's hard to replicate it.
So like you can't replicate the Silent Hill 2 dudes unless you get to just use the voice thing. So maybe if Silent Hill 2 ever gets to come back on modern consoles as the original version, that might actually be shocking because like, you know what I mean? Like they couldn't on the HD version. And then obviously, they fucked up the fog and stuff. So I have it on PS2 though. You could play with me if you want.
Okay.
Goodbye. See you next Sunday. Listen to us, our other episodes on Sonic Movie Show. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Audible app. Did I mention Spotify? We're on there. It's a great podcast service. Follow the show on Twitter at Sonic Movie Show. And let us know what you thought about this movie if you saw it. Because I do think a good decent amount of people saw it in theaters. Obviously, if it made $3.3 million. $3.3 million, not billion. That would be too big.
So much money,
But
dude.
It's unfettered capitalism. We got to bring that back for this episode. If you saw it, let us know what you thought about it. Follow me on Twitter at Ethan Absolutely. Follow Devin on Twitter at Cursona YouTube.
Follow Jake
And
on
let us-
Twitter at Jake Gyllenhaal.
And I'm pressing the button. Goodbye.